Hey, how you doing? Well, I'm back. Okay, who's my target audience for these videos? Who is it? Beginners to, I'd say, like middle 500 players in Fargo rate. I think that's my audience, and there's a couple reasons why. Okay, one of the reasons why is because it's good business. No. It is, that's like a byproduct of my decision, okay? So a byproduct of my decision, and I'll get to my real decision, but let's just talk about a byproduct of my decision. I'm finding out from this channel that like everybody that's engaged and interacting in the channel is, they are beginner to about 550, okay? APA, what is that APA? I'm not an APA guy, but maybe like a 6, 7. And yeah, so I really think that honestly, that is the biggest segment of pool players in the population pool. So of course, it's good business to market to those people. But that's just a byproduct. That's just like a happy result. The real reason why I target beginner to 550 is because of, I'm gonna guess. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second and have you guess. What is the reason? Okay, here's my kid. I'm on the filming. Gives me one of these. Okay. Gosh. Okay, that's good. Now you have time. Okay, there's one answer. Humility. That's the answer. That segment of the pool playing population has the most humility. And humility is the key to learning, okay? And the key to growth. I don't know, Jolie was talking about Jordan Peterson. He was saying that Jordan Peterson said something like, you know, there's such a small population of the world that has wisdom, like true wisdom, because they don't possess humility, because people have the ability to be humbled, but we don't innately have the ability to have humility. Yeah, so take it for what it's worth. Jordan Peterson, bright guy. Right-wing Nazi, just kidding. No, he's not. He's absolutely not. The dude's brilliant. One of the greatest thinkers of our time. So awesome, generational mind and impact on society. So very, very positive dude for his impact. So, okay, anyways, side note. What I'm saying is, I'm going with that and I'm saying, yeah, I get it, man. It's humility. That is what leads us to be able to learn the best, to be the most present, to be the most focused, right? It's the ego that kills us in everything. I just did a video on the long game versus the short game, pool relationship business. And I didn't even try to say that, it just came out that way. And what I'm saying is, ego is the killer in all those things. Pool, relationships, business. Ego is the worst killer of our society and our development as humans. And so humility obviously is the opposite of ego. And so that is our biggest like growth tool, our biggest superpower, if you will, if we can develop it, right? So back to the group, the segment of people is that beginners, they're obviously humble if they're even somewhat normal. A lot of times beginners come in from other sports and they're not humble, but pool will humble you because it's a very difficult game, right? So they end up becoming humbled because it's so difficult. And even if they don't have humility, they become humbled, like Jolie and JP were saying. So that's cool. So beginners, they get humbled. And sometimes they might even have humility because they understand how difficult the game is, or they get humbled quick, let's just say, whatever. Doesn't matter. One way or another, there's humble happening. And then that can kind of last and stay up until about 550. These are really rough numbers, okay? But what I see is right when we get past 550, people start like thinking 100 points higher, 650, right? So now they think, I rain packages. I have the ability to rain packages. So if I can rain packages on a bar table, which is one time run 3 or 4 racks on a bar table when everything aligns and they stumble across the finish line and shoot random ordered balls and they happen to lay out right with a good break and new balls and cloth and everything, whatever, they can hit a high watermark like that. Well, if they happened at 550 to run 2 or 3 racks, or heaven forbid, I've had 550s tell me they've ran 6, and I'm just like, I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. but anyways, what happens is the guy was probably a 551, because what happens at 550 plus, and I'm just telling you what I've seen in hundreds and hundreds of interactions, is delusion creeps in at 551 at that point. And then everybody thinks they're just a little bit away from Fedor. Okay, just I know enough about pool that if I could just play more, if I didn't have this going and I could do that, then I would play at that level. And that's a delusional statement, right? So I remember I heard about a player. I've had some really delusional stuff said to me from 620s and 650s and in that range. So the most delusional statements that I hear are people that are over 550 and under 700. That's the range that the delusion is the highest, okay? Because once you get to 700, you kind of understand how difficult it was, and you can at least have some reality, right? But there's like every little step up from 550 to 699, it's like you're just that much closer to thinking you got it solved enough, and that there's nothing to learn, and you lack the humility, right? And so that's just it. So that's why I target in my videos, and I'm going to continue to target beginners to 550. Now I might do some videos, like I did those break and runs. I have one for a beginner, not break and runs, but break and play the game and coach both sides. The next one coming out is like that 550 at most range, and playing like an intermediate advanced game. And I might do one at 625, but I'll probably get canceled, okay? So, because I would be insufferable with the way I viewed the rack, and then I would have to encourage them to calm down and be in reality. So I might do it, but who knows? I don't, and the whole point is like, if I ostracize, or if people are over 550, like I don't even care. Like they're not my people, right? Because I know that there's very, very high probability that they're delusional, that they're not in reality about their abilities in the game and how it gets done and how they improve, okay? So that's it. That's it. So if I make a video with 625 players, if I offend them, I offend them. So anyways, because I've heard some really crazy stuff, right? I'll tell you a story. I like to tell this one in my 8-ball clinic, but this is like an 8-ball story. Guy calls me up and he says, I want to work with you. And I ask him some questions, and the red alerts start coming off, because the first thing he tells me is, he says, Josh, I'm a 640, but he goes, I'm really a 700, bro. I'm a 700. I play 700 at my house. I just need to transition my house to competition. And when someone tells me that, I know that they're in La La Land, that's Kookyville, okay? And so I go, okay, red flag. And immediately I'm like, I don't want to work with them, right? So I start pressing him, not pressing him, but I start massaging the situation to try to get him to other people, to let him know I don't want to work with them, to know that I don't, and I'm not insulting him, do anything. I'm just like trying to like be deferential and sort of move him to a different instructor, okay? Because I don't want to take on the brain damage that's going to come with dealing with somebody that makes that statement. Okay, now Fargo Rate has a range, and there might be times where he hits the top of his range on a Valley bar table and he runs racks and it looks like 700, or it performs at a 700 rate for a set or something. That's totally reasonable. If he's a 640, he can probably touch 700. He can also, touch 580, and he's sort of the average of that stuff. And then, of course, it's hard to say where his 640 was developed. I guess probably Mike Page is like throwing bananas at the screen, rotten banana peels at the screen. But if the guy plays Valley bar tables up north in Minnesota, he has, and he's one of the bigger fish in a smaller pond, he can be like scooping up a lot of Fargo points that way. That's my opinion, okay? And I know this because when I go to leagues and I play somebody that is a 550 or whatever, 570, and they go all the way down 100 points and can't draw their cue ball, that if I made all my Fargo points based on those matches, my Fargo rate would go up considerably, right? So if he's the big fish in the small pond and people are shitting their pants when they play him because he's the #1 player in the league and MVP and all this stuff, it's gonna, juice up his Fargo, all right? So that's fine. Now he comes down to the cities and he wants to take a lesson. We're back to this guy and he calls me and I'm like, red flags, don't want to deal with this stuff. I said, and then what he does is he calls me back and he says, I want to come in, I'm in the area. And I'm like, okay. I said, here's the deal. Come on in and I'll do this. There's a 480 here and I'll have you play him, race to 3, and I'll take notes on all your decisions and shot making and then we'll review the notes, okay? So I get there, pull up my chair. I've told this story before, new channel, who cares, new story, new people. Pull up my chair, get out my drink, get out my little snacky poo. And I sit down with my paper and my pencil and I'm like, okay, now let's see what this 700 player is capable of. And I watched. And I made notes and made notes and made notes. And there was multiple innings and multiple shots and multiple decisions and I made notes, okay? And then when we were done, after one game, I said, okay, we're gonna stop, all right? Because now I'm like monkey tilted. And I go, okay, we're gonna stop and you're not gonna have to pay me any money. This is free. And I'm gonna give you this lesson for free today. He was gonna pay me 100, 150 bucks for watching him for an hour or whatever, hour and a half. And I said, well, I'm not gonna charge you and I'm just gonna give you the information and then we're just gonna, call her good. I'm not watching any more of this, right? He's like, okay. And I say, you shot 15 shots and you never shot the right shot, not one time in 15 shots. And he looked at me like I was insane. And I said, you just never shot the correct shot, not one time in 15 shots. And so we're so far apart on where you think you are and where I know you are that we can't work together, right? And so he immediately gets defensive and he starts, yeah, but this and that and then that. And I go, okay, shot number 1, why did you shoot this ball? He goes, well, I had to start the game. We got to get the game going. And I'm like, no, we don't start the game, okay? 700s don't start pool games, 700 plus players. They shoot the right shot, okay? So if you're a 700, you don't just start the game. You don't shoot in a ball to start the game. Like that's a complete amateur fish thinking, right? And so if you think you're a professional level player and you have complete amateur strategy and it starts on the first shot and it continues on for 15 shots, we're so far apart, I can't even believe this, okay? So this guy's a 640 and I'm just saying this guy is not an outlier, right? He seems like an outlier to me when I'm saying it out loud, but I don't really think it's an outlier. I've heard other people make statements like that, right? So yeah, the wrap up on the guy was, it was really tough for me to get him out of there. And it was, I had to be diplomatic, but I had to be firm and I had to let him know that it was kind of not gonna happen. And I gave him some tough feedback and he left and he was not happy. And he called me a half hour later when he was driving home and he never apologized. But he said, I've been thinking what you said and you're right about some stuff, but never apologized and never said, oh my gosh, thank you or anything. He went more down the ego path. I've assessed what you said and I've agreed to take this information and to think about it. And I'm like, totally fine, totally good. I'm glad, I just want to get him off the phone. So I'm just like, I need to get on with my life. I need to stop giving this guy free information because I love giving free information. I'm here giving hours and hours and hours of high level free information, but not to that guy. So I got off the phone with him, it was fine. I've heard other people make the same statement. There was a 620 that I knew, and he said, I play 700 on a bar table. I play 620 on a big table, but on a bar table, I'm a 700 player. 80 points higher on a bar table. I've watched this guy play bar table pool for many, many hours, and he is not a 700 on a bar table. He's not anywhere near a 700 on a bar table. And so these are the type of statements that I'm getting from people that are over 550, especially when they get into that 6 over 600 range. That's a solid game. I'm not diminishing a person's work and a person's efforts and time they put in to get over 600 or get whatever, but I'm just saying, like, as players in this sport, this is a very heavy results focused ego sport game, whatever you want to call it. And I just see it just is, the higher you get, the worse it is. Okay. And so that's my experience, and that's why I target beginners to 550s. I've heard someone make a statement when I first started doing content and training and things a couple of years ago, and they said, well, Josh, I mean, he doesn't work with high level players. Like, I don't know how to work with high level players. By the way, I've worked with 700s, I've worked with multiple 700s, I've worked with professional players, okay? I do know how to work with good players. I work with myself. I'm over 700. I'm my own coach, and I have great results coaching myself. So, yeah. But the point is that it was so funny when I heard that statement, because I thought, I don't work with people over 550 because of ego. Their ego problems, their inability to take instruction and direction and feedback, and the pushback that I get from them. And it's just like the delusion. And I'm like, that's why I don't target that market. That's why I don't work with those players. And the stubbornness of it, you know? And so that's it. That's why. And it was just funny to hear that statement, because I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't work with good players. Not good players, but I don't work with like higher level players. Just funny, man. People, things. Okay, whatever. So that's it. That's my target. So if you're watching this and you're a 551, I don't know, bro. You probably hate me. And if you're, everyone below seems to think I'm okay in helping them. So there you go. All right, so if you're a 590 engineer instructor that's certified, you absolutely hate me. So those are the people that I see that that I know I'm driving crazy. But anyways, whatever, they're not my market. They got their own niche, their own thing. They, you know, they can do their drugs. I'll tell you the do your drugs story. This is a funny one. I was playing on a stream against a guy. We were playing in the finals. And we were playing on a stream, and this guy was absolutely crazy. And we had known each other and whatever, but he was over 700. And we were playing this match, and it was like hill. And I go, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to like just get my head together, right? And I go, and off camera, he's sitting right next to the stream booth, and he goes, go in the bathroom and do your drugs, Burble. And I'm like I do drugs when I'm playing pool. Like that's like like that's a thing. And I just thought it was so funny, because I came back, and then the guys that were doing commentary I told you I get shit from people when I play, right? And I'd get back, and they go, do you know what he said? And I go, and I knew the guy really, really well, and I'm like, I can only imagine. And they said, he told you to go into the bathroom and do your drugs. And so that is a catchphrase that exists in my life with my wife and some of my friends. Mostly Irene just now, though. It's like, she'll call me, probably today she called me, and she had to go. She's like, oh, I got to do something for work and get on my computer. And I'm like, do your drugs. I'll talk to you later. So, okay. So you guys do, everyone 550-01, do your drugs, and I'll do my drugs with the beginners to 550. So, all right. Love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.